But I still don't know how to save that though, unless you just leave it open. Well, we'll try to knock her out.
What it does do, at least though, is I will not make the exam like ridiculously long. It will be longer because it is a final. So
Well,
it'll
yeah.
probably be something like 75 questions. But what having it open a week does do for you is you get to pick the time. It doesn't have to be during a specific time. So you can be like, you know what? I'm setting Wednesday at 2 p.m. or Thursday at 5 p.m. to just knock this out, get it done right then, and that's when I'm going to do it, or whenever it is that you want. So that's the luxury it gives you. It's not
Is
that
it
you
going to
have,
be,
hmm?
will it be multiple choice and
Of
follow the
course,
same?
of
The
course.
same.
Yep. So what I would do is a lot of the questions are going to be the same. A lot of them from your previous exams. So definitely study the lectures that I provide you. Definitely watch the videos, and definitely look at past quizzes and exams. And
Will
you'll
we be
definitely be
able to
prepared.
pull up the PowerPoints as well?
Yeah, they're all open.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're all open. Yeah.
Yep.
You can just download all them. That's what I did.
That's
I got them all.
that's what I would do. Yep.
So whenever,
I'm
can I, now I don't know if you're allowed to ask me or I'm allowed to ask you this, but is it going to be in somewhat of order?
Um, I am going to try very hard to make it in order. It should be in order by
Okay.
chapter. It should be. It will not be random, as in like chapter 14 be question 13 and then chapter 6 be question 15. The worst thing that's going to happen is that there'll be a cluster of chapter 4 and it might land where chapter 7 is supposed to. That's the worst that could happen. They'll all be clustered together, but
Okay.
it may not be in order of chapter.
I see. But I'll be able to figure that out real
Yes, you
easy
will.
by just the question.
Exactly. Yep. All right. So let's talk about sex.
I'll do that. I haven't had it in 20 years.
So, what do you think? Do you think that the male orgasm is more powerful and intense than the female orgasm?
No.
No. Okay. Well, I guess good job, everybody there. So, Alfred Kinsey was a psychologist, and he set out these he conducted a bunch of surveys, and he suggested that males and females had similar orgasms, but then William Masters and Virginia Johnson asserted that the woman's capacity for sexual responses surpassed men's. So what they did essentially is they had people have sex in front of them, and then they put all these electrodes all over their bodies, and then they measured their heart rate, respiratory rate, body temperature, all these different things. And what they found was that the contractions, the muscular contractions for a female, far surpassed a male's orgasm. And they came up with
That I believe.
the stages of the human sex response. And so basically, the stages are there's the excitement phase, and then that's where the arousal begins. The body temperature, heart rate, respiratory rate. It's where you're gearing up to do something, right? It's almost like the fight or flight response. Actually, it's exactly like the fight or flight response. Erections in males, vaginal lubrication, pooling of blood around the chest for women. All these different things are happening. Then there's the plateau phase where you're actually having the sexual interaction, the sexual behavior. This doesn't have to be coitus or intercourse or whatever you want to call it, or penetrate. It could be oral sex, it could be anal sex, it could be masturbatory, it could be a bunch of different things, right? But now is the actual sex act. Then there's the orgasmic phase. And then following the orgasmic phase, the fourth and final stage is the resolution phase. So the idea is essentially is that we have the excitement, and then we have the plateau, then we have the orgasm, which is the peak, and then the resolution. And that's what they came up with.
Well, it sounds pretty accurate. So it's excitement, erection.
No. Excitement, then plateau,
Okay.
then orgasmic or orgasm phase,
All right.
and then resolution.
Okay.
And so for different people are different things. For example, there are some sex differences. Women are capable of multiple orgasms. What does that mean? It means that they don't necessarily have to have a resolution phase in between them. So what they do is some women, they can have the excitement, the plateau, the orgasm, down a little bit, orgasm, down a little bit, orgasm. And then finally, when they're done, everybody's tired and they're hungry, whatever, then they have the resolution phase. Or option two is women will have excitement, plateau, orgasm, resolution, just one. Or option three is excitement, plateau, no orgasm, resolution. Some women are incapable of experiencing orgasms. And there are a number of reasons, psychological, physical, some are because of pain, some are just physically incapable. All right. So now looking at hormones, and then the males, it's very simple. It's excitement, plateau, orgasm, resolution. All right.
Our
Go ahead.
no, that was a silly, stupid question. I answered it myself.
Yeah.
Good.
Most of us can do. Right. Good.
Yeah, but testosterone appears. All right.
Yeah, I haven't talked about this yet. I'm about to.
Oh, okay.
All right. So now we're looking at hormones.
But that thing that you said one last time, it was plateau, orgasm, and resolution.
Excitement.
Yep.
Plateau.
Okay.
Orgasm. Resolution.
Gotcha.
All right. So now looking at
Sorry.
hormones. That's all right. Testosterone appears to promote sexual desire in both sexes. It's not a simple relationship. Social experience and context are also factors in sexual desire. So there's a psychological component, not just a physiological or a biological component as well. So the use of testosterone to enhance sexual desire has significant medical complications, primarily cancer. Right? So when we administer hormones to people, it's hormone replacement therapy is when someone is lacking hormones that they should have cycling through their body. So they'll provide hormone replacement as a way of supplementing what should be there versus hormone therapy itself in treatments, where this is where you are trying to attain some sort of desire, whether it's a transsexual goal, meaning you're in the process of changing your physical anatomy, and so you'll take like testosterone or for trans men, or estrogen for trans women. Okay, so what we also find is that testosterone isn't necessarily, we know that it's correlated with sexual libido, but testosterone levels rise after a sexual interaction, not prior. So it's kind of complicated as to how it works. Okay. Sex and the sex drive. Apparently I got ahead of myself. Sorry. The physiological responses don't always correlate with subjective experiences. What does that mean? It means that our body's responses don't always correlate or line up with what we're actually feeling. Psychologists still disagree on whether there are sex differences in sex drive. Some psychologists suggest that male sexual behavior is more biologically determined, and female sexual desires and responsiveness are more affected by circumstances, the specific relationship, and what their cultural norms are. So, for example, you look at Eastern Asian cultures, they have far more sexual what's the word? They're held back. Uh, Let me put it this way. So in some European countries, the Netherlands, Italy, uh, England, or Great Britain, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot more sexual permissiveness. In America, more sexual permissiveness. So dependent on who they're with, what the circumstances are they at a party? Are they drinking? And what the cultural allowances are. Where they say when they say that males' sexual desires or behavior is more biologically determined, meaning it doesn't matter what the culture is, it's universal. Males are always going to be, some psychologists suggest, they're going to always be the on. It takes two ons, right, to make a baby. So the males are always going to be on, and the females are going to be off or on. So the males are the constant. Yes, 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 yes. Females are we'll call the limiting reagent. The yes, no, 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 yes. Okay. So what are our motives for sex? pleasure, intimacy, insecurity, partner approval, peer approval, or attaining a goal like money, prostitution. How you feeling, babes? Yeah. Did you puke out your nose? A little bit? That's the worst, isn't it? It does burn. Sorry. My wife just
Oh,
had
is
to go
one of
pick
your
up our
babies
7-year-old.
sick?
Yeah, our
Who's sick?
7-year-old just had to get picked up from school because she threw up.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's something going around. Not the COVID.
Right.
the flu maybe.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know. Do I have to explain? Obviously, sex will feel good for people. Not all people, but most people. Intimacy. When we say intimacy, it means that it brings them closer together. Insecurity. So maybe you're questioning whether or not you're attractive. Maybe you're questioning whether or not you have, I don't know, these yeah, we'll just say that, right? If you're attractive, you're just questioning whether or not people like you or think you're attractive. Partner approval, to make your partner happy. Peer approval, because everybody else is. So this is going to be earlier in our sexual years. And then attaining a goal like prostitution.
Like what? That's what I was
Prostitution.
gonna ask you. Oh,
Prostitution.
okay. Okay.
Now, sexual coercion and rape. There are persistent gender differences that occur in the perceptions of and experiences with sexual coercion. Of a representative sample of 3,000 college students, 25% of the women said a man, usually their husband or boyfriend, had forced them to do something sexually. But when they asked the men, only 3% of them said they did. So,
Said they did.
so what does that mean? It means one of two things. It means that men are lying. Well, it means one of three things. It means that women are lying. It means one of four things. Let me change that again. No, one of three. Women are lying, one, or men are lying, which is most likely, or three, their understanding of what sexual coercion is different, right? So a boyfriend or a husband says, "No, I didn't. I didn't interpret that as well." She did. So their interpretations of it could be different. And of course, the experiences, right? So men are less. It's so rare that men experience sexual coercion or rape. It's so rare for a number of reasons.
Well, one is obvious.
Yeah, one is obvious, and that is most men are larger, on average 10% larger than most women. So most men can't be out strengthed, we'll say, or you know what I mean, out whatever weighed. Another reason is males are more promiscuous. They have a higher sex drive on average. So they'll be more into it. Regardless. And lastly, because the sex drive is different on average between men and women aren't going to be driven to do it. And also, women are less physically aggressive than men on average. They're more verbally aggressive, but they're less physically aggressive. So all the reasons.
Well, and two, how can a guy get raped if he really doesn't want to participate?
Well, most of the cases are going to be against other men. Men raping other men.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah. So what are the motivations for rape? Narcissism and hostility toward women. A desire to dominate, humiliate, or punish the victim, or they get some sort of sexual satisfaction from causing pain or embarrassment. When they asked men, when they asked the rapists, men, why did you do it? They'd say, I just wanted sex. And when they asked the victims, Why did he do it? Because he's a sadist. Is it because he was there was something about aggression? See, the victim's perception of the experience is it's a violent, uh, it's an act of violence, where the rapists, when they're asked, well, it wasn't violent, it was more driven by sex. See, so even that, right? The perceptions of it are different. Now, I'm not saying that this is all men. I'm saying these are rapists, which is a small fraction of men.
Man, that's just the most uncool thing I could think you could possibly do to a woman is take something from her when she doesn't want it to be taken.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right. Now, we have from culture to culture, we have what are called sex scripts. Okay. These are sets of implicit rules that specify proper sexual behavior for a person in a given situation that varies with the person's gender, their age, religion, social status, or their peer group. The role of sexual scripts in African American women the role of sexual scripts in African American women's behavior is of particular interest given the number of African American women diagnosed with AIDS. What does that mean? It means that in some African American cultures, this is the United States, sex is thought to be the male's prerogative. That when he wants it, he gets it. And as a result, because there's less uh, ability to say no to African American men, there's a higher incidence of AIDS. Just because there's more sex. So what do you think? It's not even what you think. It should be what you know. Is sexual orientation more a matter of nature or nurture?
nurture
Huh?
or nature.
Nature. Good. Right.
Mm.
That's the actual answer. So the riddle of sexual orientation, factors which do not explain homosexuality: a smothering mother, an absent father, emotional problems,
No, I'm
parental
writing
practices, meaning are your caregivers homosexual or heterosexual, your role models, or if you were a victim of sexual abuse as a child. None of these things correlate. None of these things correlate with homosexuality. So some biological explanations of sexual orientation, right?
I
The
can look
development
at it.
of
I'm not right.
prenatal, meaning in the womb, prenatal exposure to androgens like testosterone and 5-alpha dihydrotestosterone, which is a very potent form of testosterone. So basically, the more we are exposed to that, the more our brain is masculinized. What does that mean? It means if the brain is masculinized, it is sexually oriented to what's called gynephilia. You're attracted to females. The less masculinization, it's called androphilia, more attracted to males. See, females in the womb are not exposed to high levels of testosterone. Why? Because they don't have testes, they have ovaries. Males in the womb do have testes. So they're creating within their own gonads, they're creating themselves, essentially. They're developing their own sexual orientation. But if you have a male whose testes are underproducing testosterone, then they will be androphilic. They will be homosexual men. And there's some other research that shows that it's called the brother effect. The more older brothers, gay or straight, a male has, the higher his chance of being gay himself. And they think that it has something to do with the conditions of the womb. That something about the uterus itself changes from the brother to the next brother to the next brother to the next brother. something that's triggering less androgen release from the following or the subsequent brothers, their testes. So there's
Oh
difficulty
wait,
with
Jared, can you back that up because I want to spell that one word at the end. Okay, thank you.
Yep. So there's some difficulties in identifying the causes. Sexual identity and behavior are different. So our sexual identities and our behaviors are different. And they occur in different combinations. Some individuals are sexually attracted to both men and women. Some individuals are heterosexual in behavior but have homosexual fantasies. Sexual behaviors can differ in different cultures. So in some cultures, in order to become a male, you have to swallow the ejaculate of an adult male. Doesn't mean that those adolescent males are homosexual. Doesn't mean that the adult males are homosexual. It is their cultural belief that in order to be a male, you have to swallow the seed of an adult male to essentially rid yourself, to kind of beat out any female in your system. Okay. The competent animal. Now we're talking about motivation or motives to achieve. So this is something I often ask about. So take a note of this, okay? The thematic apperception test. Just think about this for a second. Thematic, it just means theme. Apperception, it just means perception. Okay. So what they're saying is they give you something and they want to know what theme you perceive is happening. It's a projective test that's asking people to interpret a series of drawings of ambiguous situations. Then they project what they think is happening. Oh, that person's running because they're really excited. What are they excited about? I don't know. It looks like they're excited, like maybe they won something, like their arms are raised in a V for victory. Where else someone else might look and go, wow, they're running in fear. They're like, holy cow, well, what could I don't know. Maybe they're running from a shooting or a fire, or I don't know. Maybe they're running to so it's an ambiguous situation or stimulus, and then they have to project what they perceive the theme is. And so what does this do? It addresses, essentially, it measures their unconscious motives, such as their need for achievement, power, or affiliation. So the importance of goals. Our goals improve motivation when the goal is specific. The more specific the goal is, the more motivated you're going to be. When the goal is challenging but achievable. So think of it like playing a video game and you're motivated to beat that next level. It's challenging, but it's achievable. You know it is, but you're more motivated because if you think about it, if you're playing a video game and this level is really easy, you're like, I'm done with this game. If the goal is framed in terms of getting what you want rather than avoiding what you don't want, what does that mean? Here's a tool for your tool belt when you want to like get people to do what you want them to do. Frame the thing in terms of what they want, not what they should be avoiding. Like if you don't do this, then you're going to be in trouble. Frame it in terms of if you do this, this good thing's going to happen to you. People are more motivated to approach, not to avoid. So approach goals are the things that we seek. Avoidance goals are the things that we want to get away from, the unpleasant experiences. So we're motivated to avoid things that we don't like. And we're motivated to approach things that we do. And sometimes you have to make decisions. Sometimes you have to make decisions between two things you do like, two things you don't like. So, for example, Hammer, what would you rather have? A cheeseburger or a taco?
Oh,
Do you like cheeseburgers?
yeah,
Yeah. So there are two things that you like, right?
right.
Okay, but you can make that decision because you like one a little more, right?
Right.
We call that an approach decision. You have to decide between two things you like. Now, what would you rather have, Hammer? Would you rather have been shot or stabbed?
Shocked.
Okay. Shot by a gun.
Oh, shot.
Yeah.
Stabbed. No,
Actually,
well, depends on.
yeah. Yeah. So I know for a fact what the answer to this is, not because I've been shot or stabbed, but when I taught at a correctional facility and I was teaching this, every single inmate who had been both shot and stabbed in the past said you'd rather get shot. Trust me, stabbed hurts a lot.
Yeah.
So
I
what we call that is an avoidance decision. We have to decide between two things you don't want. Okay. Expectations and self-efficacy. So we know what the self-fulfilling prophecy is, right? It's having an expectation that comes true because you tend to act in ways to bring it about. I'm never going to pass this exam. This final is going to be too hard. And as a result, you don't even bother studying. And good Lord, guess what happened? You didn't pass the exam. That's the self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay. I'll never learn this stuff. The person doesn't study adequately enough. The person gives up trying, and the prophecy is fulfilled, and the person doesn't learn this stuff. Self efficacy, think of it this way: self effectiveness. A person's belief that he or she is capable of producing desired results, such as mastering new skills and reaching goals. So think of self efficacy as your self effectiveness from your perspective. Working conditions, conditions that increase job involvement, motivation, and satisfaction. Work provides a sense of, okay, so what work conditions that increase job involvement, motivation, and satisfaction? If the work provides a sense of meaningfulness and importance, if the employees have control over part of their work, if the tasks are varied, if the employees have supportive relationships with their superiors and coworkers, and if the employees receive useful feedback about their work, and lastly, if the company offers opportunities for learning and advancement. So these are things that lead to job satisfaction. These are the things that lead to job motivation. These are the things that lead to employee involvement. Don't all these things sound nice in a workplace? They sure
Mhm.
do. So, going back to our approach versus avoidance, sometimes you have to decide between two things you want. So, the approach decision or conflict when you are equally attracted to two or more possible activities or goals. The avoidance requires you to choose between the lesser of two evils because you dislike both alternatives. Then, lastly, the approach avoidance conflict. This occurs when a single activity or goal has both a positive and a negative. So it's like, man, I really, really want Hobie's wings, but I only got, you know, $40 for the rest of the week and it's going to cost me $20. So it comes at a cost. That's the avoidance thing. I don't really want to spend the money, but I really want those wings.
Steal them.
Yeah. Hold them up. All right. We can skip these. All right. I believe this is the last slide.
Oh, I know
Maslow's,
all about this.
good. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay. It's in the shape of a pyramid. The basic idea, and some of this is review. The basic idea is that in order for us to be what we can be, to realize our full potential, to reach what's called self actualization, right? That means to actualize yourself. You have to meet all the needs below it first. So at the peak is self actualization. That's where you, that's it. And we'll have moments, right? We'll have these moments of self-actualization, these what he called peak experiences. You came in first in the race, or you won the competition, or you aced the final exam. Those are called peak experiences. But in order to really self-actualize, he said, you have to have all these other needs first. And at the lowest level are the basic survival needs, like food, drink, temperature regulation, waste excretion, even sex. And then it goes up, up, and then it's like aesthetic, meaning like artistic. Then there's love, and then there's social support, and there's all these different things to finally intelligence, okay, to finally self actualize at the peak. Now, his model has been criticized for having little empirical support. What does that mean? It means you can't really test it. And B, not being identical for all people. All right. So on Friday, we are going to review as much as we possibly can. Okay. Um, what I'll probably do is I'll pull up an old final exam because I tend to use the same subjects, obviously. And then I will just go through it and I will just kind of read things to you. I will maybe read questions, or maybe I will read topics, whatever I think is most important within that part. Okay.
Sounds
That
good.
should be, and then what I would do is I would, maybe you can take notes if it helps you learn. What I would do is I would just focus on what I'm saying and then watch the video again and take notes while you're watching the video again.
Okay.
But try to stay in the moment with me so we can kind of connect when we're reviewing. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to stop recording.